Hey everyone, this is Tracy with Color Me This. I have on my notes that this is going to be episode 78. And this is something I also mentioned in a previous video. I kind of love and hate when I do that. I like that I say something about it, which then makes me commit to actually following through and making the video. But then, of course, it also makes me do the video, so it's a love-hate thing. So this particular video is going to focus on an avenue for free downloadables. And I found out about it watching a YouTube colorist talking about coloring in Creative Haven coloring books. So I was reading through the comments, and one of the comments was, hey, you can sign up for free downloads. So I investigated the name of the company who makes the Creative Haven coloring books is called Dover Publications. I went through my very small coloring book collection, and I actually have 2 Creative Haven books right now and 1 Dover coloring book. So then I went online to doverpublications.com and I looked up how many coloring books they said that they have. They said on some blurb that they have over 500 coloring books. So while I was on their Shopify site, I went ahead. They have 8 categories of coloring books. And the 2 biggest ones is the Creative Haven category alone has 361 coloring books. These are all of the coloring books. They don't specify there for children, and there are 796. And that is not including one of these categories that actually threw an error. Being a retired web person, it's really annoying when I find big companies like this that have just like one link that's misconfigured, and I'm thinking, they're probably missing. It was the more adult category that wasn't working. I kind of felt like sending them an email. Back in the day when I was working, I would have, if I was on a site that I found something broken, I would tell them. Because if it was me on one of my sites I was responsible for, I would want to know. But I digress. 206 children's books added to the 796, plus the more adult category that I couldn't get to, is like more like 1,000 different coloring books. So what you do when you go to Dover Publications, what I think is the best way to get hooked into their electronic download system, they call them newsletters, and they have them in different categories. So when you go to the Dover Publications site, and if I sound farther away, it's because I'm staring at my computer screen, they have a category at the top called coloring books, that when you hover over it, there are 8 categories. All you have to do is click on coloring books, scroll down, and it says sign up for our free coloring newsletter. So I actually did not sign up that way. I signed up from their homepage, which gave me their newsletter. That's the generic newsletter that has some coloring links. So once you get signed up, which now just today I got signed up for the coloring newsletter. Previously, for the last 4 weeks now, I have been receiving their general newsletter. It comes once a week. They curate for you a set of free samples. What I've seen of the coloring samples, there are 6 of each coloring book. There are 6 pages that are free. They are just random pages from a particular book. And the very first one I got, the very first newsletter, had a couple of coloring books of all the weird things, and especially knowing now how many coloring books they have. I saw the steampunk coloring book was one of the Creative Haven books that I had from before that ended up getting lost in our trailer accident. So I thought that was kind of cool that the very first newsletter I get has a category, a coloring book that I loved that I had. Even back then, though, I was doing Copic coloring, and I would still print out the copies on my own paper. So once you get your newsletter, they do tell you, and it's called, my category or my title for the generic newsletter is called the Dover Sampler. So I suppose if you wanted to get more free downloads quicker, you could sign up for that one, which will give you some coloring as well as other samples. And then you could do the coloring newsletter as well. So the next thing that I've noticed, if we move beyond these two coloring books, oh, and paper, if you're curious, the Dover coloring books, I don't think are printed through Amazon. The paper feels different than, it's not as smooth. So if I feel these Creative Haven ones, they are a very smooth feeling paper. I only own two midnight ones, so you can let me know if the midnight ones are smoother for whatever reason. And these have already been spliced, and so that I can more easily copy them. I'm not going to disc bind them because I don't want to get the edges of these. I don't want to have the disc binding holes, the mushroom holes to print. So these books I am going to not bind. And this Horse Lovers book is a newer purchase. I didn't even know that they were related to the Creative Haven, and I actually didn't realize that I had already ended up with a couple of Creative Haven books. So again, the Horse Lovers coloring book is a more toothy, feels like Bristol Vellum, smoothish toothy though. And then these other ones, the Creative Haven ones, are really slick. So that's on those. So then I did some experimentation with the download process. What you see on your screen when you click on one of the 6 links is you will see an image, and that image you download. When you click it, you do a right-click Save As. I would imagine you could also do a snip because it's clean. It doesn't have like a copyright across the image itself. It has it across the bottom. And then when you print them out, you don't get the Dover publishing like my Castle Arts. You've probably seen some Castle Arts that I've colored in, and even Mr. Fogarty the Frog, R.J. Hampson, has a tagline on the bottom. But these are just a right-click Save As. It's a JPEG, and I played with different settings. And what I have discovered, my preferred way of printing is the grayscale draft, which is this. And here is the standard mode on my printer in black. I have printed these all on copy paper more for doing this video than anything, but I also like to have samples for folks who want to do some coloring in the coloring group, that they can see these and let me know what they want, what I can print for them. Okay, so the next thing I have discovered is, I'm going to show you this up close, and I hope it's going to focus because you're kind of, I have the camera farther away because of these images being 8.5 by 11. So down here now, the one on the left should look more blurry, and the one on the right should look pretty crisp. So the one on the left is when you download the picture, because you did right-click Save As, these are JPEGs, and when you click them in Windows 10, I don't have Windows 11, it opens up a view that offers you some editing options, and it doesn't give you a name. It is an app within Windows, but it doesn't like have an app name itself. If you hit, when this is downloaded and you go to the window and you right click it, you can do preview, or you can just double click it and it will open in this interface, and then you can hit the print When you do that, it prints it fuzzy. I think that it is more of the raw image as a JPEG than a prepared for print image. So the way to prepare it to print as crisp as it can be is you open up, I bet it would work in Google Docs, but this is with Word, and it prints way more crisp in Windows, listen to me, in Word than it does in the Windows default picture imaging viewer tool. I even opened 3D Paint and hit print from 3D Paint, which is Windows 10, not sure about Windows 11, has two options, printed in 2D or printed in 3D. And when I print it in 2D, it prints exactly like the preview with this fuzzier image. So then we have this image. This hopefully will really be clear between these two. The one on the left is the one that is printed from the image viewer software in Windows 10, and the one on the right is printed from Word. So that is all that I can think of to help you be... Oh, there's one more, sorry. There is one more type of image I want to talk about. This Dover Publications also does paint color by number. And I've been intrigued by it, but I don't want to buy a coloring book. I don't know that I would personally be interested in it. But if you wanted something really simple that you didn't want to have to think, you just pick some colors. They have like a color guide for the generic color names with examples of them. And then in these spaces, there's a number. However, this sharply printed one is printed in Word, and it is grayscale. When you see it on the screen, these images that I just showed you that appear black, they appear black on the screen. The color by numbers are gray. So I printed out a color by number that, I have notes on the back. Double click. This is the preview version, and it looks okay, but I cannot read the numbers. So I went and did Word. In fact, I think that's how I initially discovered the big difference between Word when you embed an image versus opening the image viewer. And even though this is within Word and it is very much more clearly legible, the numbers are not legible enough. So the only way that I found to read these numbers is by having them up on my screen, and I zoom in on the image to whatever area I see, and that is how I get the numbers. So if you are really serious about doing color by number, I actually recommend that you do, if you're diligent enough, you're going to have to, and you don't want to buy them, you can take a draft and put little numbers in, looking at the screen and transferring them onto the image, and then do your coloring image on your good paper that you love and work from there. So I think I have exhausted all of my Dover information related to coloring books. If I missed anything at all, please pop it into the comments and I will publish it. Everything I do, I review everything. So I will make sure that it is a good sound bit of information. And I will happily publish it for everybody who might want to dig into Dover coloring books. And I will have up on the description the doverpublications.com and some brief steps for you to find your way to the coloring. They call it a newsletter, but then, like I said, my headline says Dover Sampler. And I have yet to receive, because I just subscribed to the coloring specific one, and I don't know what the name of it will be when it pops into my email. I am still waiting to see it. All right, and that's everything for this episode. I will probably be seeing you tomorrow, if not later today. This might be a 2-episode day, though I'm trying to stretch them out and not have multiples on the same day. And we'll see you in the next one.